Hi, happy Monday, everyone. A little disclaimer, I do have some notes because there's some facts that I want to share today, this being Labor Day in the United States of America. I wanted to talk about and give a little education about what is Labor Day. So I do want to give credit to the History Channel from where I received my information and my facts. I know we probably learned this in school, but I was not much of a history buff, so I didn't retain a whole lot. But I think it's interesting to share what Labor Day is. And what it is here in the US is that it pays tribute to the contributions and achievements of all American workers. And traditionally, it's observed on the first Monday in September. Now, my husband's birthday is in the first week, so a lot of times he gets a long birthday weekend. Like I said, today, September 7th, is Labor Day in America. It was created by the labor movement in the late 19th century. It became a federal holiday in 1984. And the weekend also symbolizes for us Americans the end of summer. Usually the beginning of school starts after, and we celebrate with parades, parties, cookouts, barbecues. Of course, now I know in the northern states where I'm originally from, we always started school after Labor Day. And when we moved down to the south in Texas, it started before, more like mid-August. And I'm going to assume that has to do with heat. Since it's so hot here, they want to make sure school gets out earlier the following year. So this Labor Day, I wanted to talk a little bit about it. In the late 1800s, at the height of the Industrial Revolution in the United States, the average American worked 12-hour days, 7 days a week in order to make a basic living. And I know there's a lot of people who are doing that now also. Plus, we are now a lot of dual income families. Both the husband and wife work in the family. So we might see some similarities to back when this started and what is going on today. Things have changed a lot since the 1800s. And despite some restrictions in some states, children as young as 5 or 6 worked in mills and factories, in mines across the country. And of course, they were paid just a fraction, a small amount of what adult workers made. Now, we have a lot of labor laws in the US. Generally, unless it's in a family business, kids cannot work unless they're at least 14 years of age. And there's limits onto the hours and the number of hours or the time of day they can work and the number of hours they can work in a day and in a week. So that is definitely an improvement. But back in this time, people of all ages, particularly the very poor and people who had recently immigrated in the country, were working in very unsafe conditions. They had insufficient access to fresh air, clean facilities, and they didn't really have breaks. Nowadays, I know that some people complain about not even having air conditioning. It was much worse then because buildings were not air conditioned anywhere and water wasn't provided for workers. Now we have drinking fountains in offices and things are a lot better. But as manufacturing increasingly replaced agriculture as a source of American employment, labor unions, which had first appeared in the late 18th century, grew more prominent and vocal. Remember, in America, people started out mostly with farming, and then, there was the gold rush. And so manufacturers started slowly taking over agriculture as the main source of American employment. And people were complaining. So labor unions appeared. They began organizing strikes and rallies to protest poor conditions and compel workers to employers to give workers better pay and better working hours. A lot of people who work in America have benefited from unions. And like any good thing, there's too much of a good thing. A lot of labor unions keep people who are not good employees employed. It makes it harder to get rid of people. I know that a lot of grocery stores have labor unions. Big factories, automobile industries have labor unions. Some of them are only for the exempt or hourly workers, and some are for management, but usually protects the lower workers that work hourly. I just want to take a short break and thank everyone who's joining me so far today. We are my first time across here on LinkedIn. We're here on my Facebook page, Cultivate and Thrive, and my newly started YouTube channel. So going back to Labor Day, many of the events where there were protests turned violent during this time. There was a infamous, and I'm going to use my notes on this one, Haymarket riot of 1886, in which several Chicago policemen and workers were killed. Others gave rise to long-standing traditions. On September 5th in 1982, 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march to City Hall, to Union Square in New York City. And hi, Becky from New York. I don't know if you remember this or heard of it, but that was the first Labor Day parade in U.S. history. It was September 5th, 1882, when 10,000 workers took unpaid time off to march from City Hall to Union Square in New York City. So that was a big thing. The idea of a working men's holiday celebrated on the first Monday in September caught on in other industrial centers across the country. And many states passed legislation to recognize it. Congress would not legalize it until 12 years later as a regular holiday, when a movement in America, labor history, brought workers' rights into public view. On May 11th, 1894, May 11th, 1894, employees of the Pullman Palace Car Company in Chicago went on strike to protest wage cuts and the firing of union representatives. So on June 26th, just over a month later, the American Railroad Union called for a boycott of all Pullman railway cars, crippling railroad traffic nationwide. To break the strike, the federal government dispatched troops to Chicago, unleashing a wave of riots that resulted in the deaths of more than a dozen workers. So to combat the unjust working environment, they did a boycott. Federal government dispatched troops to fight it, which caused riots and resulted in deaths. I don't know. People know what's going on in the world today. You see some similarities with what happened back then. In the wake of this massive unrest, and in an attempt to repair ties with American workers, Congress passed an act making Labor Day a legal holiday in the District of Columbia and the territories. So on June 28th, 1894, President Grover Cleveland signed it into law. More than a century later, the true founder of Labor Day has yet to be identified. No one really knows who founded it. Many people give credit to Peter J. McGuire. He was a co-founder of the American Federation of Labor, while others have suggested that Matthew McGuire, a secretary of the Central Labor Union, first proposed the holiday. But we still celebrate Labor Day in cities and towns all across the United States with picnics, barbecues, fireworks, parades, and other public gatherings. For a lot of us Americans, especially the children and young adults, it represents the end of summer and the start of the back-to-school season. Now, Labor Day is what we refer to a lot of times as a bank holiday or a government holiday, because as the world has progressed and retail has grown, a lot of industries, retail, restaurant, things of that nature, service-oriented, are open more hours. I mean, way back in the day, businesses didn't used to be open on Sundays because it was a family time or a day, of course, of rest to worship. But now it's all about the money. People needed money and people want to shop outside of their working hours. So a lot of people are forced to work on these holidays in order to make a living. And honestly, it's usually people who are lower paid that have to work on the holidays. But we refer to them as government or bank holidays because those are usually, well, those are always closed on those holidays. No government offices, no banks. So usually the 9 to 5 offices are closed. Of course, churches are operating, malls are operating, stores are operating. Just like any of the other big shopping holidays, more and more retailers are opening so that people can shop. It's really about, hi Joel, it's really about the money now for people. That's really what's driving our society and our economy is that people need to work for the money because let's face it, the world used to be more about family and getting what you need to live. And nowadays it's more about what you can have. Thank you, Judith. Um, it's more about what can make you happy now, especially now when we have this instant gratification thing. People, I mean, you get paid instantly into your bank. You can spend it. I mean, you never even see your money really. You get, when you get paid, you don't have, most people don't cash a check. It shows up in their bank account or on a pay card. And you can either, really, you don't have to leave your house even to spend it. You just go online and shop and you can get stuff the next day or 2 days later. We don't even have to wait to order stuff. It just comes immediately. But I think that if we really spend some time thinking about Labor Day and why it came about, that maybe it would do our society some good to return to that, to return to the values of family, work ethic, to buy what we need, not to have something better than everybody else. I could go off on so many tangents here because really, when we buy stuff and somebody gets something better, how many times do you think you need what the other person has because yours is not as good as theirs, even though what you have may actually accomplish what you needed? Yeah. Anyway, so Labor Day in the US is supposed to be all about taking a day to relax, reflect, and be grateful for what we have, enjoying the end of summer. So a lot of times we get a long weekend because it's on a Monday. So usually people who don't have to work weekends get Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. Hi, hi Tanya. Sometimes people get Friday off or they take vacation day on Friday, so they get a long weekend, go traveling. They go spend time out in the country to relax, refresh, rejuvenate, to be ready for the work week again. It's a great time to spend with family, a lot of cooking out. Um, for us this weekend, we actually went up to see my daughter. She's living 5 hours away. I don't know if you saw our impromptu live we did on Saturday, but I got to spend some time with her. So, of course, as your kids get older and move out, you don't get to spend as much time with them. And really, nowadays, families are just spread all over the place. Used to be that when your kids moved out, they would live on the same block or at least stay in the same town. And now everyone is just scattered because we go where the jobs are, where the better jobs are. So Labor Day came about to settle the unrest with the working environment that was so poor and treated workers badly. So the unions were created out of that. And a lot of benefits the unions brought were higher wages, health insurance, shorter working days, a more regular work week for a lot of people. extra pay for working outside your regular hours, safe working conditions, which was mentioned. Um, I'm trying to think. The other organization is OSHA, Occupational Safety and Hazard. I want to say association. I'm not sure, but regulates safety in the workplace. So that most employers will regulate the temperature just like you would in your home, so that people weren't dropping over from heat exhaustion at work. You didn't have to worry about equipment falling on you, or something gets stuck. There was things implemented for assembly lines, a lot of assembly lines in the industrial industries, that if something went wrong, or God forbid somebody got in an accident, no one would know. So there would be no chance of saving that person. So now there's a lot of policies and procedures in place to help workers stay safe. And again, with the kids, a lot of laws into place about kids, so kids don't get used as child labor like they used to. So above all, Labor Day is a great thing. It's a great initiative to relax, spend time together, and it helps create a safe work environment for anyone. But a lot of unrest happened before that came about. So, but I would love to know if anyone wants to share what they do for Labor Day. Now, I know that if you are on Facebook, I can't see your comments here unless you gave permission to StreamYard. It looks like everybody I'm seeing is on LinkedIn, and I'm not sure about YouTube because that's new for me. Yeah, wasn't definitely not ready, but important. Yes, we do need to set our goals. I really, really want. Yes, Tanya, I'm encouraging my lovely tribe inside my Facebook group, asking them to set a goal that is based on what they really want. Yes, and not only, I'll just pop that up there real quick so you guys can see that comment. A lot of times it's hard for us to really, really decide what we really want. And if you know me, I can help with that. And there's a lot of other great people out there that can help with that too. But generally, for Labor Day, we get together with our family, whoever's living in the area. Right now, I'm blessed. I have 3 sisters of my parents that have all moved to the state, and we're all within a half hour. So we can get together for holidays and cookouts. So I'm not seeing. Thank you for the encouragement, everyone. Let's see. Yeah, I'll put this comment up here. So the basic theme objective of Labor Day fails if the last in the queue, even today, doesn't get a leave. That's absolutely, absolutely correct. A lot of people do not get the benefits anymore. And again, really, as a people, we are the ones that make that happen. We are the ones that another big American holiday is Thanksgiving. And usually at Thanksgiving is used to be the kickoff for Christmas season shopping and Christmas season. That's when after the day after Thanksgiving is when all the Christmas music would start. You'd see all the decorations, all the great sales would be out to encourage people to buy things. And now people are going shopping on Thanksgiving Day, or even the evening time during dinner when families used to be together. Why? Because people can't wait to get that deal. They can't wait to buy that thing. They're willing to give up their family time to go buy something that's going to bring temporary happiness to someone, not even true happiness. And who suffers? It's the people who make less wages, the people who are paid less an hour, because they have no choice but to go into work. Well, no, that's right. People say they have a choice. They chose that job. Well, that might be the only place they can work right now because of their skill level, because of the job market. But if they don't go into work, they'll lose their job. And some of them, I mean, it's really not. The wages are very small. You really can't live off of it. And there's people trying to support families off of it. So sometimes you'll have a husband and a wife both working jobs that pay just above minimum wage, and they're trying to support each other off of, I mean, their family off of it, and it's hard. And sometimes, especially now in the wake of COVID, when people are losing their jobs, those are the kind of jobs they have to turn to. Not that they're bad jobs. I mean, I started out in fast food when I was going to college. Well, before college, actually. And there's ways to work up, but only so many people can do management and make more money. But even in those jobs, you have to be available 7 days a week, sometimes depending on the place, 24 hours a day, holidays. You don't get a choice. It's you either work it or lose it. But anyway, so that's the gist of Labor Day. Yeah. Such days of great value are remembered just once a year. Absolutely. It is sad. But it's we as the consumers that can change it. I mean, there are certain establishments here in the US that are not open on Sunday. And it's a stance they take to better their employees' family life, to allow them the opportunity to be with family or to go to church if they have services on Sunday. So it is a choice us consumers have. If we want to support people so that they don't have to work it, guess what? You don't need Starbucks on Thanksgiving or Christmas Day. You don't have to go to the grocery store on the holiday, buy your groceries before the holiday. I know people forget things, but what did you do when they were closed? You had to make do. If we go back to the value of family, and that family is more important and people are more important. I mean, you see hashtag people first all over LinkedIn. If we actually went back to those values, we could adjust the way our living and actually live that way. So, well, I think I've talked on enough tangents, but I hope you get a gist of what Labor Day is in America, and at least what it was intended to be and kind of what it is today. But I wish everybody a happy Labor Day, whether you're here in the States or all over the globe. And I thank each and every one of you for joining me, and can't wait to see you again. Have a great day. Bye, everyone.